The Healthcare Security Cast is sponsored by 3D Network Technology. Reliability is our core value. Visit www.3dnetworktechnology.com. And by Genetec. Genetec, delivering security strategies for healthcare. Visit Genetec, that's GENETEC.com.
Welcome to the Healthcare Security Cast, the podcast dedicated to healthcare security, safety, and emergency management. If you are involved with a healthcare security program or desire to be, this podcast is for you. Join the conversation as we discuss the issues that matter to healthcare security professionals while leveraging the expertise of healthcare security thought leaders and experts in personal development. And now, here's your host, Bryan Hamilton.
Welcome to the Healthcare Security Cast for Tuesday, July the 21st, 2020. Today we're joined by Randy Kolentus. Randy is the Chief of Police for Reid Health in Richmond, Indiana. Randy, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Bryan. I appreciate you having me on today.
You're very welcome. Glad to have you on. Now, I always like to start off by asking about our guest. So we'll start off by asking, who is Randy Kolentus?
Well, Randy Kolentus is a local guy from right here in Richmond, Indiana. I've been here my whole life. Grew up with my parents both working. My father was a police officer. As I was growing up, we used to also have a lot to do with horses. And we would show horses on the weekend, so we were a pretty close family. I think that's where I learned the service thing was through my father. He, like I said, he was in the police department. So as I grew older, I grew more like him and wanted to follow in his footsteps and get on the police department, which is what I did back in 1978, and then progressed through that career, and then got some college behind me, and in 2006 this opportunity here at Reid Health opened up, and I took a leap of faith on that, and it's been a great career switch, and that's pretty much where I'm at now. I'm married, have two adult daughters, and 6 grandchildren. Things can get pretty busy for me, both at work and at home.
Excellent. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your career path. You had alluded to your father and following in his footsteps as in a law enforcement career. Can you just tell us a little bit about your career path and what led to you being where you are today?
Well, like I said, my career started in 1978 with the police department. Loved it from day one. I knew I would when I got that opportunity, because I was able to follow in my father's footsteps. And my goal as I started that was to serve others and work in this community like he did, and progress myself up through the ranks. That way I could learn more and do more and be more involved at different levels. And I did that as well. And then in 2006, this opportunity opened up, and my wife is one of my biggest supporters, and she's actually works in HR for Reid Health. So she's the one that made me aware of the opportunity. So I looked it over and looked into it, and put my best foot forward, and met a couple times with the CEO at that time. And he was open with me in that he wasn't intending to fill that opening with a police officer or anyone from law enforcement. And so I had some convincing to do to get him to at least consider me for the position. Then once I was given that opportunity, I had a gentleman that trained me for a short period of time. He was a big advocate for the IAHSS. Like the first couple of days was telling me that I needed to do that and join that group. So I did that actually pretty quickly after I started in September of 2006. And here I am today with a CHPA and almost 14 years here at Reid Health and almost 14 years with the IAHSS.
Right, that's awesome. And you talked about a couple of things there. You mentioned supporters and having the support of your wife along the way. And also you mentioned your father earlier. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about that. I'm sure you must have had a lot of supporters, mentors, and influencers along the way. So who were some of those folks, and how have they impacted your career?
Yeah, there have been so many supporters along my journey. Obviously, through the police department, a lot of officers that I worked with, a lot of supervisors, a lot of chiefs of police that inspired me, that kept me motivated and kept me moving along. But as far as the healthcare end of it, and you're just as familiar with some of these folks, Bonnie Michelman, Brian Warren, a guy named Mickey Watson. Mickey was out of Florida. I look at Mickey as one of my biggest mentors because way back in 2008, I started looking at the CHPA exam, and I got on the website to try to figure out who I could contact to give me some help. My wife and I visit the Florida area a lot, so I just saw Mickey's name in Sarasota, Florida, and CHPA, and I thought I'd give him a call, and I did, and Mickey was very open, and this was me pretty new in the organization. He was so helpful, getting me prepared for that exam and telling me what to study and what things to watch out for, and go to the study session the day before the actual exam. So Mickey was very helpful. Roy Williams, the current IAHSS president, Paul Sarnese, and probably one of the biggest buddies that I have in the IAHSS is Bill Navejar. Bill is I don't know how I don't you know Bill. He's always there for me. Always helps me with questions that I might have. But the entire organization and people like you, I met you a few years ago. Jonathan Westall out in California. Actually, you could go through the whole listing of members in the IHSS and just point to any one of them and find a friend and somebody that is there no matter what you need and when you need it, and they're very open to help out with whatever you need. That's one of the biggest things I enjoy about the organization is being able to have that open friendship, or the phone call, the email, whatever you need, and people are so receptive and so eager to help you along the way.
Awesome. Now, I want to park there for a minute because you did make mention of IHSS quite a bit. Now, you've been actively involved with the association for a number of years. Can you talk to us a little bit about your experience with the association? So, I guess the type of roles that you've done, and how you've benefited from the experience.
My involvement in the organization, I've had a few really good opportunities. I was when we had regions, I was Region 2 resident with Bill Navejar. And then had the opportunity to stand in for Bill as chair of the Region 2. So I've had opportunities there. In 2014, well, in 2009, actually, Indiana created their chapter, and I was a member with that group that started. And then in 2014, I was able to take on the chapter as the chapter chair, learning different things along the way of that process as well. And currently I still serve as a chapter chair, and will be stepping out of that position in January of 2021 with a great guy following behind me, Tony Pope, who is from Columbus Regional here in Indiana. He's going to take over as chair. A lot of great people in Indiana in this organization as well that have pushed me along the way and helped me grow as well.
Excellent. And as you made the change, as you made the transition from law enforcement to working in the healthcare security environment, I'm sure there were a lot of challenges and a lot of things that you had to adapt to. How did you overcome those challenges? And what were some of the things that you found helpful?
I like to think I'm a really easygoing person. I'm laid back when I need to be, and I think that's probably something that was very beneficial as I came into healthcare security. I tell people a lot that it's a completely different world, but it's really much the same because healthcare security, we have to deal with similar things that they deal with on the street in law enforcement. They come into the house, so to say, and try to do certain things that don't fit in with the organization. So it was a bit of a transition, but pretty similar. I do know that, and I do believe that there are a lot of people that come from law enforcement that may not be able to make that transition. It's a completely different world in the way that you handle situations and the way you can handle people on the street and out in public, as opposed to what we do in healthcare. We have our ways and our nuances of talking with people and how we have to handle ourselves. And like that wasn't an issue for me. Like I said, I think I'm a pretty laid back person, so it was an easy transition. Learning the organization was huge. I had no idea really what healthcare was. It's funny because all the years I kind of thought healthcare was doctors and nurses. And that's just really a small part of it. The security piece is huge. And back in the day when I came on board, and I think much across the country, staff was very limited in healthcare security. So you did what you could with what you had. And that might have been an obstacle, but as the team understands you and as the organization grows with you, that the team grows as well. And then it starts to expand. And then over the last 13 years, healthcare security has changed 180 degrees. I think you know that. And I know a lot of the people that I mentioned a little bit ago know that as well. It's been a big change and a big transition.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I think we're seeing a lot more than in the past is the police presence in healthcare facilities. So whether that looks like a hospital police department or a hybrid model where you have both security and police working together, what is what do you view as the major difference between, I guess, first hospital security or sorry, hospital police versus your local police?
I believe that hospital security officers are a special group of people, especially when they hire into an organization to be that healthcare security person. They learn the way they're going to treat people and what the hospital expects of them. The police department being a little bit different than that. But the police department does give the opportunity for the hospital to have certain quick responses to situations. Nowadays in healthcare, abuse of staff or the violence that comes into healthcare nowadays. Sometimes we have to wait until law enforcement can get to us or arrive on scene, whereas with a police department on site, you can handle the situation as it presents and take care of it a whole lot quicker. That lends a lot to the organization, especially here in Richmond. We have a great local police department, and they get here as quick as they can. But with what we're going through now to become a police department, we have a better opportunity to provide our customers the service that they need as soon as they need it, which is a big change and something that's a benefit for the organization here.
Okay, and I guess conversely, with that leading into that topic, what would be some of the major differences between hospital security versus your hospital police?
That would fall in line with different training. You can get the same training, and the IAHSS has great certification programs for security officers. Police officers in Indiana have to attend the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, and they have to become a certified police officer. But at that point, then you have annual mandatory trainings that you have to complete. You have in-service trainings that you have to complete as a police officer. It just gives them a different level of being able to serve the community and the patient population that we deal with. Security officers get very good training, but not to the level of a police officer. Now here at Reid Health, we are armed officers. We have been since 2013, and that was also a special part of my career in law enforcement. I was a firearms instructor, so I do take that very seriously. The training part of that and the handling skills and everything that comes with that. So the team here is also required to complete and maintain proficiency with those types of tools. So there's just a different level of training as you become the police department as opposed to the security part.
Right now, you touched on training a little bit, and now I kind of want to just focus on current events. Obviously, just with everything that's happening right now, there is, right or wrong, there's a bit more focus on use of force from law enforcement, security, et cetera. Has the current situation caused you to reevaluate some of your training? And, if so, what have you looked at changing potentially?
Yeah, I think that's nationwide and probably worldwide, that law enforcement and security, we're all looking at what we could do different, what we should do different. We have looked here at some diversity training to see what we might be missing, and that's part of what's coming. And I do think that law enforcement in general is getting a bad rap, but there are millions of law enforcement officers that are doing the right thing, and but it does provide everyone an opportunity to take a look at your program to see what we could do differently. I know that the training academies are doing the same. We don't want to miss something, and whenever a situation happens, it always gives rise to look at new training methods or something that we're missing, and it happens that way in I think in every profession. If something happens in your environment, it gives you the opportunity to take a look at what we need to change.
Right now, getting back to the discussion about just the different program models, what are some of the models that you've seen work well that integrate police into the hospital?
In Indiana, there are several police agencies now, but what they've done is they've piggybacked both the police department and a security department. So they created that hybrid model, which gives them I think the best of both worlds, because they're not putting all of their staff in the same basket as having to be a police officer, where some facilities that are going to do the transition have really great security staff that really don't want to be a police officer. They enjoy what they're doing and how they do it. So they were allowed to create that hybrid system, which is working very well. A couple large organizations that we have in Indiana are Parkview in Fort Wayne and Memorial Hospital in South Bend, Indiana. They both use that hybrid, and that allows them to have police officers and security officers on each shift. Gives them the opportunity to put these staff in areas that they need that particular type of training, and it works out very well. And I talk to those guys all the time, and their systems are working well.
Right. And like I said, I think that's more of a trend that we're seeing a lot more often. Now, I know there's a subject that you're very knowledgeable about. Is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that you'd like to further discuss?
I cannot think of anything. We've talked about the IAHSS, the only healthcare security organization, and the membership is going well. And we just need to keep getting the message out there and help that organization to grow even more. And I talked earlier about the communication and how you create friendships and long distance friendships, and it's a great network to have. But the continued training, I know training is a top priority for everyone, law enforcement, security departments, and healthcare security as well. It's a big part of what we do is we have to train and be prepared.
Excellent. Now, from your standpoint, what can we expect to see from Randy Kolentus moving forward?
Well, I think you should expect to see me here. I plan to be here for a little longer. I love my job. I love healthcare security and the police department that we're working into at this point. Continued involvement with the IAHSS in whatever endeavor they need me for. I'm always available. You can find me online, and I'm available to send policies, whatever kind of information you would need. I'm here to help out whatever I'm needed.
Awesome. Now, in closing, what message would you like to share with the healthcare security cast community?
Um, we're we're a great group. The healthcare safety security staff, the vendors that circle around us all the time, and they're always there for our needs. I just would implore everybody to get involved, be engaged in your state chapters, be involved with with the big IAHSS picture, and let's all work together for education and get the word out that we're all a family. We're one giant team that works all over this world for healthcare security. And some things that we do here in small Indiana, they're also doing in the bigger cities, and we can still share the message and share the training, and make everybody better for that.
Awesome. And then lastly, what are the best ways to get in touch with you?
The IAHS website, I'm listed in there. My email address is Randy Kolentus at Reid Health, and that's REID, reidhealth.org. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. I actually do check that almost 24/7. I have the ability to do that with other devices, so I keep up on my emails all the time.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today, Randy. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, great information, and I'm sure that everybody got a lot from it.
Thank you, Bryan. I appreciate you having me today.
And this concludes another episode of the Healthcare Security Cast. Join us later this week when we're joined by Virginia Lozon and we're discussing emotional intelligence. Feel free to connect with the Healthcare Security Cast. All the links are on my website. That's Bryan, BRINE, Hamilton.com. And until next time, stay safe and take care.